Welcome to the podcast that buffs your Hearthstone game. This is Velen's Chosen.
Not all who wander are lost.
Greetings, Visionaries, and welcome to Velen's Chosen. Whether you're a competitive player, an arena specialist, a deck-building visionary, or just like having a bit of fun, we can help you buff your game and achieve your Hearthstone goals. This evening, I am going it alone. Eve and I had some conflicts this week in terms of just not being able to line up schedules. Additionally, my internet went out for a couple of days. I had no internet access via my house, so I couldn't do any recording. So, just decided to do a solo cast, and it's going to be a whole lot of question and answers and first responses and hot takes on the fact that Saviors of Uldum has dropped. Came out this last Tuesday, and everybody has been playing and having all kinds of fun with all the new toys. So I asked the community if they would give me some questions that they'd like me to answer on the show. And so here we go. We'll tee it up with a question from Steven Sensei. You've heard him on the show before as a guest. He asks, so now that you have played in the Brawl and the Ladder from the new expansion, do you feel there are any cards that stand out as needing to be hit with the Nerf bat? If so, what and why? What change would you make if you were Blizzard to keep and or restore balance? I think the first card that comes to mind is Conjurer's Calling, right off the bat. I don't know that there's much else that would tilt me off the planet when everybody's trying to have fun than to see a mage deck show up and they do nothing, drop the giants, Conjurer's Calling, and then you just can't win. It seems, and maybe it's an emotional reaction, but it seems like it's a major fun police moment where somebody says, no, I don't want to play any of the new stuff. I don't even care that a new set's been dropped. I just want to play this deck because it's really good, and I want to beat you in the face and make you feel bad because you played something that was suboptimal. So I think Conjurer's Calling definitely needs a nerf. I could see it going to maybe 4 mana, maybe 5 mana, because you can use it twice, considering how people are using it. Maybe even take the twin spell off it. I don't know that they would do that, but that would be how I would nerf it if I had my druthers. Second up is possibly Mountain Giant. Conjurer's Calling maybe not get touched, but then don't have Mountain Giant in Standard anymore. They've had no problem moving other giants that were problems, like Molten Giant out, so I think maybe Mountain Giant might be a good nerf. Maybe make it more expensive instead of 12, make it 14 or 15 mana, so it can't come out quite as early or as easily. Or just Hall of Fame it. Now, on to some of the newer cards. This might overlap with some of the other questions, is there's the possibility that some of the new quests might be needing a nerf because they're good. The first one that comes to mind is the Druid quest, maybe. Druid quest only has to have 4 turns where you don't spend mana. And in Druid land, that's a lot easier to do than I think any of us anticipated. Quest Druid decks are seemingly very powerful, but not so much so. It might be one of those things where it's a matter of perception as opposed to what is actually the actual win rate or success of the deck itself. So we'll see. I personally enjoy the quest a lot. I feel like it's super fun being able to have all the choose one stuff happen all at the same time. Actually, it's more like choose both, I guess. But we'll see. Secondly, I think that the Shaman quest will likely probably be the first one to get nerfed. The Shaman quest seems way too easy to get off. Play 6 Battlecry minions. Seems like it's nothing considering lackeys and all the low-cost Battlecry cards they have. Tandem that with the ability to play Shudderwalk, and I guess you could probably realize that I'm already very biased about that because, well, Shudderwalk is one of my least favorite decks of all time to play against. I'm not saying the deck's bad. I'm not saying you shouldn't play it, but you all probably, if you've listened to Velens for any kind of time, you know that I tend to rage against that. But if there's not even a Shutterwalk in the deck, I think that the battle cries and the ease with which they can do multiple battle cries per turn, especially after they've completed the quest, is very... I just think it's too easy. I think that the fact that that deck shows up in Wild and Standard at the same time and is just as good in both is a little bit concerning. Maybe there'll be something made to counter it. Who knows? But it seems like it can just get going, and once it gets going, it doesn't stop. So we'll see. Possibly, maybe raise the cost of the hero power more, maybe to 3, possibly 4, because it is very strong at 2. It seems just a little too easy at 2 costs once you get the quest off. Or maybe raise the quest to maybe it's 8 or 10 minions you have to play before you can get the quest off. Because it just seems they can do it way too easy. Probably by turn 3 or 4 I've seen, even in some cases, where they can get it off. Other than that, I guess we could probably just, say Dr. Boom, Mad Genius, hero card needs to get nerfed because, well, frankly, I think Control Warrior just got better. I think there's a lot of things that Control Warrior has done well, and I think that it's even better now with the card that destroyed the 5-cost spell that they got. I'm blanking out on the name right now of it. That destroys all minions that are damaged, and the fact that they can put 2 of those in. We had seen in the past there was a legendary minion. I don't remember what it was. It was a big giant T-Rex that could do that, and it basically just nobody played it. Oh, Plague of Wrath. So the Warrior Plague that makes Control Warrior much better, tandem with Super Collider and all the other things that Warrior does well with Dynamatic and whatnot. So Control Warrior seems like it could be oppressive, because if you play any kind of slower deck, Control Warrior just seems to beat you out. Elysiana's still good. So Dr. Boom Mad Genius, I think, has a lot to do with that. Having the mechs be able to rush might be the solution, or taking that aspect out of it, because I just think that all the stuff it can do with just the hero power alone and adding mechs to rush, you're giving rush to all mechs, is just, I think it's just too much over the top. I think the card needs to see some kind of, needs to be tamped down just a little bit. Otherwise, I think Control Warrior could just dominate again, like it has in the last expansion. Let's see. So on to the next question. Let's see here. Steven Sensei actually asked if I'd seen much change in Wild since the release. I've been playing about 50-50 Wild, 50-50 Standards. It probably maybe aired more on playing Standard. I haven't seen a lot of change in Wild at the moment. I've seen newer things. Like I've seen like a Taunt Warrior thing start coming up, which is really cool because it has more early game tools to get taunts out. That seems really neat. I think Quest Druid works really good of different varieties in Wild because you have more options for ramp and Emperor Thorson to take things down. So there's more possibilities for Malagos and whatnot. And Reno decks, the Elise, the Enlightened Reno, I'm going to call a Reno card, even though it really isn't. A lot of people have been playing it in Standard without doing it as a singleton because you play it as such a late game that by that time odds are you've already gone through most of your deck, so you only have one copy of everything left in your deck. Some of the combos I've seen were really cool, but like, for example, it's in Standard, but it's in Wild as well. It's a Line Cracker combo. Basically, they get Line Cracker, which was an interesting minion that I thought would be good back in the day, and didn't. And Rob, I think, disagreed with me that he thought it was any good. I thought, it could be good. Maybe I was just fancy, but maybe it was just a passing fancy of mine. But I think it has found its niche. It is a 7-cost 5/10 minion. It's an epic minion called Line Cracker, and it reads Overkill, double this minion's attack. And what people do with it is they put it on the field, and then they cast bees on it if it sticks. So it goes from 5 it kills the bee, so then it becomes a 10 cost minion. It kills the second bee, 20 cost minion, or 20 attack minion. Third bee, 40, and for the fourth bee, 80. So it can hit you for 80 if you don't take it out. Crazy. Like, it's just, I never thought that that's how that combo would work. I think Wild is still being a bit oppressed by some of the same old stuff. I think Priest needs a big giant nerf. How the world they're going to do that, I don't know, without totally gutting the class. I think that Priest needs to have its resurrect stuff cost more or not do the same thing. I'm not even sure Barnes is the problem. I think it's the res stuff. It's just too easy for them to get all of their stuff back. And there's so many different versions of resurrect Priest or big Priest in the meta now that like it seems like they can almost put anything in there. I see goofy things in the deck. I wish I could tell you what I'd seen, but they were not the standard Lich King, Obsidian Statue, Ragnaros, and Archmage Vargoth. I've seen more than that. Like dirtly minions that are maybe just a taunt or do something goofy. So it's like, man, if they can just res anything as they see fit and copy their res spells, it keeps Wild, I think, in a certain place that I don't think is very fun. So we'll see. Last thing he had asked about was competitive budget decks. I actually did a little bit of research. I think right now, the two decks that I thought were fairly competitive and not terribly expensive. One was a Thief Rogue that I had found. And I'll just read the list off to you, and you can tell me. It's not a tremendous amount of gold. It's only 1,520 gold. It has 2 Backstab, 2 Pharaoh's Cat, 2 Pilfers, 2 Cold Blood, 2 Eviscerate, 2 Sap, 2 Underbelly Fence, 2 Blink Fox, 2 Evil Miscreant, 2 SI7 Agent, 2 Hench Clan Burglars, 2 Vendettas, 2 Bizarre Mugger, which is the new cost. It's the new rogue only card. It's a rare. It's a 5 cost 3/5. It reads Rush, Battlecry. Add a random minion from another class to your hand. So it works on the quest. If you have that, Mecharoo and Hench Clan Thugs, 2 of everything. So all those cards are really good for just rogue play. Standard, almost tempo rogue. Get stuff on the board. Get value out of your cards. You could play it cheap if you want to play rogue and you want to. And you're, I don't know that this deck can get you to Legend. It might be able to, but you can do very well with it. Because generally speaking, unless you are a master player, budget decks aren't always the way to go if you're really trying to climb super high on the ladder. But this particular deck seems like it has a lot of ability to do such. You can outvalue your opponent. I mean, Evil Miscreant, coin Evil Miscreant on 2 is such a strong play. Some of the things to add into it, which would be really, really good. You could probably add Ziliax, Taunt and Healing. Card's just good. If you have it, throw it in there. Leroy for a finisher. Leroy Coldblood is still a good finisher. Bizarre Burglary, which is kind of fits into the overall game plan if you have the quest. That would be really, really good. Edwin Van Cleef. I mean, I like 3 mana 8/8s. Do you? Those are all cards. If you have them, you can throw them in there. Other than that, they're not necessarily to be successful with the deck. I think this deck could be really good. Every card here has seen play, except for maybe the brand new ones, like Bizarre Mugger. He's brand new, but from my experience playing on the ladder, running into him, he seems really good because he can clear a minion. He's basically removal on a stick, and he gives you a card. Not too much bad about that. So you could probably sub in the quest in here. It's not in here, but you could sub it in if you really wanted to, and it would be worth it. The quest, incidentally, I think is pretty good for Rogue. It doesn't seem overpowered. It just feels like it's reasonable. It's like, sweet, unlimited 3/2 weapons with immunity. It helps Rogue kind of do what Rogue has always had to do, which is clear minions with your face. Except it doesn't really penalize you for it. So I like the quest for the Rogue. It was the free quest I got, incidentally, from my pre-order. Haven't had a chance to try it out, but every time I've seen it and played against it, I never felt like it was overpowered. I never felt like it was underpowered. It just seemed really good in a generic sense. I'm going to call it a quote-unquote budget deck. It's more interesting than its budget, but I think it has potential to be strong. I played it against it on the ladder today and thought that it had a lot of potential. It's called the Mumdateka Quest Paladin. It is basically you do the quest, which is, summon reborn minions, or play reborn minions, and then you want to basically your hero power becomes summon a 2/2 copy of a minion on the field, right? Well, it just so happens that summoning 2/2 copies of Mechano eggs is really good, especially if you can do it turn after turn after turn. And it puts your opponent in a weird position of having to play suboptimally. Because, if I remove that 2/2 egg, well, then I have an 8/8 big giant robotic dinosaur, that's going to punch me in the dome. That doesn't feel real good. But it gives kind of a new home for the Undertaker, which is a card we haven't seen in a while. We saw it a lot in Druid last couple expansions, but not recently. The Undertaker, in case you forgot, is an 8/5 or 8-cost 8/5 legendary minion. It's neutral, and it reads Battlecry, gain the death rattle effects of 3 friendly minions that died this game. Who doesn't want the death rattle effect of a Mechano egg? Cricket, nobody, right? It's great. But here's the list in case you're interested. It's got 2 Crystologies in it. It's got Making Mummies the quest. Play 5 reborn minions, and you get Emperor Wraps. It's got 2 Epic Micro Mummies, so that's a little bit of price there, but they're really good. Seems really good. 2 Subdues, which is the new Paladin spell that's 2 cost. It's set of minions attack to 1, which is really quite good. 2 Ancestral Guardians. Another new card, which is a Paladin Lifesteal Reborn kind of minion, 4 cost 4/2. Anoia Module times 2 Consecrations, 2 Mechano Eggs, which is kind of one of your win cons, 2 Pharaoh's Blessings, so you can pump up those eggs, give them Divine Shield and Taunt, and hit you in the dome for 4 more than you would have already. 2 Mermies. Mermy, incidentally, very good card. Very, very good card in Paladin, which is a 1 cost 1/1 Murloc Reborn. Incidentally, just as a side, Murloc Paladin seems like there could be some builds that could make it a tier 2, at least tier 2 type of deck. I played with a bunch of them on opening day, and I had a lot of fun with it, because there's I can't remember the cost of what's the name of the spell. It's an 8 cost spell in Paladin. Let's see here. Let's look it up here. With all the Murlocs, it's tip the scales. Summon 7 Murlocs from your deck. And people were experimenting with it. So they would yank all these Murlocs out of the deck with the spell, cheat it out sometimes with the Prism, and then they would have all their deck empty, and then they would play Chef Nomi. So just kind of shenanigans like that. But this particular deck doesn't actually do that. This particular deck is just kind of focused on really building around the quest. So it's got 2 Mermies, 2 Temple Berserkers. It's got Acolyte of Pains, Bronze Gatekeeper, Candle Taker, which is a 3 cost 3/2 reborn mummy kobold. Got 2 Bone Wraiths. Bone Wraith's another strong card I've been pleased with. 4 cost 2/5 taunt reborn minion, common minion. It's got Ziliax, because you can put Ziliax on your big giant 8/8s and heal up, and Undertaker. So deck seemed pretty good. The dust cost on this particular deck was a fair amount higher than the rogue deck. It was about 6,800. But that's largely because you have 3 legendaries in it. You have the new quest, which is where probably most of your most experienced players' decks would come in the cost. But Ziliax, a lot of people have, because it's kind of been if you don't know what to craft and you need a legendary, this is a great one because it kind of goes in every deck. So a lot of people will have that one. It's not terribly expensive. And the Undertaker, if you didn't have it, that kind of up ramps the price. But really, there's only 2 epics. Everything else is common and with a few rares in it. So seems like a pretty good, fun craft for a budget player. Let's see here. Moving on. So new questionee. Let's see. This is from Drosif. He says the meta is still shaping up, but it could be fun to hear some predictions on what decks you think will be new decks to beat in Standard and Wild. Okay, here you go. In Standard, the decks to beat right now are Quest Shaman, Quest Druid, Quest Paladin, Conjurer's Mage, and Control Warrior. Those seem to be the ones that are the decks that they're showing up a lot. Wild, Quest Mage, Secret Mage. Slizzle put out this really, can't remember, he was reposting it, a Secret Mage list that just seemed really good. It takes advantage of some of the new burn as related to secrets that have come out. Let me see here. Let's find that for us a minute. For example, the new Mage Minion, which is a 5-cost 4/4 elemental. It's called Cloud Prince. It's common. Battlecry, if you control a secret, deal 6 damage. In Secret Mage, it's easy to control a secret, so it's basically burn on a stick. Not quite sure if Mage needed a decent statted minion that could just shoot 6 anywhere on the board. But they got it, and it seems really good. The new Mage secret that clears your board. What is it called? The Flame Ward secret. After your minion attacks your hero, deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. That's pretty good too. Just really strong mage cards. Let's see. The other one that's been surprising is the Arcane Flak Mage. After you play a secret, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. 2-cost 3/2 minion. Seems good. Just a way to stall their board while you draw cards, get to Alaneth and burn it out. Also, Ancient Mysteries in this particular deck. Draw a secret from your deck. It costs 0. Seems really good. Cheap spell gets a secret out for nothing. So it's a 2-cost secret, basically, and it thins your deck to draw what you want. Slizzle, I think, said he had like a 75% win rate with it the other day. And that's just crazy to me. I mean, that's crazy. But it's interesting to see how it's sort of like a amping up of an archetype that has seen a lot of favor and then kind of ebbed out a little bit, and now it's coming back. Big Priest still there. Unfortunately, I kind of ran on that. Taunt Warrior seems like it could be coming up, like Taunt Quest Warrior. The ability to buff, we used to call it Turtle Warrior back in the day. The ability to buff your cards in Warrior with Bolster. And let's see, what was the other one? The new one, Bolster, and the new one that is out is Into the Fray. Give all your taunt minions in your hand 2+2/+2. That seemed really good. There's a new card. I think we kind of overlooked it a little bit. It's situationally good. It's not a warrior card per se. It's a neutral. It's where is it? Oh, here we go. It is the Infested Goblin. It basically taunt, death rattle, add 2/1/1 scarabs to your hand. Well, those 1/1 scarabs go to your hand. You play Into the Fray. Now you have 3/3 scarabs for 1 with taunt. Seems good. So Reno Jackson posted a pretty cool list that had a lot of like target dummies and a couple other 0/7 0 cost or 0 attack taunts with big butts, and then you buff them up and make them like 2 9s, and that's a pretty good taunt that an aggro board just can't deal with. So if the meta is super aggro and wild, Taunt Warrior seems to be really good against it. It just can shut it down if you get the right curve and whatnot. The Taunt Warrior card, the Warrior card that has taunt, that basically has Shaggy on it. I just think it's funny that Shaggy's like a card. Is what is it, like Freaked Out Flunky or whatever? What do they call it? Yeah, it is called Frightened Flunky. It's a 2-cost. It's basically Stonehill Defender for 2 because you discover a taunt minion, and it's basically a turn earlier. So it'll stop something. You play it on curve, you're in good shape. And if you buff it, if it gets buffed at all, a 2-cost 4/4, that's not bad. Public Defender suddenly seems like it's okay. It's the 0-cost, it's the 2-cost 0/7 taunt. It's got a Tauren dressed up like a lawyer. It's kind of funny, and like in a suit or something. But anyway, that is all to say that Taunt Warrior seems to be like Turtle Warrior could be a potentially viable deck in Wild, and I'm kind of excited to say that I hope that it's good. It definitely does well against aggro. Does not do good against things like Big Priest, but we'll see. Quest Druid again, I think possibly could be good. So on to the next. That was from Droseph. On to the next is Andrew is Living. Andrew's our good bro from Velen's Chosen in the days gone by. He asks, which host of Velen's was your favorite to replace? Kappa. Well, I guess considering I only replaced one, you, Andrew? I love it, though. But he says, seriously, though, which off-meta cards from Saviors do you want to work the most? Well, I'm not 100% these are all off-meta, but I think Octosari, I want to figure out a cool new way to use a way of drawing 8 cards. I want to figure out a way to use that in like mill, and I think some people have already started working on it, but you know, you like treachery, hand it off to your opponent, buff it down, hand it down, or reduce cost, treachery, give it to them, and then like have them mill their deck or mill 8 cards out of their hand or something like that. Mogu Cultist seems like it is really cool when you can pull off the combo. I tried it the other day in Wild, and I literally lost 5 games in a row because I just couldn't pull it off fast enough. I just couldn't draw through my deck fast enough, even though I was playing like a control style of Warlock with it. But I want it to be good because I want to see it happen. Although losing instantly feels about the same as the Mecha Cthulhu deck. So I don't know how good I really want it to be. King Pharaoh, how that's pronounced? I'm not sure. The 10 cost neutral legendary that basically where is it? Let's see here. Where are you? Oh, because it says taunt. You don't want it. It says taunt. King Pharaoh, where are you? You are... There we go. Yep. It reads, check this out. It's a 10 cost 5/5, so Wimpy stats. So battle cry, for each spell in your hand, summon a random minion of the same cost. I want that to be good. People have been experimenting with it in Quest Druid because a lot of times in Quest Druid, you can play a lot of minions that do stuff. But King Pharaoh basically kind of helps you utilize spells and get minions out of it. So that's kind of neat. It's kind of grab bag. It's a little bit of, casino there, here and there, because maybe you don't want some of the minions he gets you, but it seems like a pretty strong play. I'm kind of excited. I want to see him be used to great effect with his battle cry. So we'll see. Other than that, those are the ones I'm hoping for. I don't know about the other ones any other ones as much unless I'm forgetting something. I'm sure somebody will say, "What about this? What about that?" And I'll say, "Oh yeah." Anyways, other good buddy from Velen's, not Rob, asks, "What quest cards gave classes a surprise edge that you didn't expect, and how?" I'll tell you what. I was surprised by how good the Shaman quest was. I kind of didn't really give it enough credit when we were reviewing cards, but the lackeys thing. The lackeys give you, because having lackeys do double battle cries, like, the +1 in rush, or the lackey that does 2 damage and can do 4 all of a sudden, cards that give out lackeys, double life drinker, hitting you for 6, all of that stuff, it just kind of surprised me because battle cries are great, but they seem just OP when they can be done twice, which is why I think it should be nerfed. They're so 2 cost, and I can just play a bunch of 1/1 cards that double my damage, double this, double card draw, double summon minions, double spells, discover spells. All of that stuff just seems ridiculous. I did not see that coming, being as strong as that was. And maybe people did, maybe I wasn't paying attention. Like I had mentioned earlier, Paladin Quest, I didn't think about summoning 2 copies of Mechanical Eggs, or Mechano Eggs. Didn't think about that. The Priest Quest, I thought it would be good. And it's just too slow. It seems like it should be busted, but it's just too slow for the current meta. Road Quest just seems very average, very, very good, but very average. And I think the quest that I'm the most happy with, Shaman surprised me the most with his power, but the one that I am the most surprised with in terms of how I like playing it is the Druid Quest. Like, I love playing Quest Druid. Right now it's my favorite deck in the set. And I am very excited to see what different variations are, because there's kind of a mid-range version which I've been playing a lot of. The card that has surprised me bar none more than any other card in Druid land is the 5 cost the Oasis Surger card. Like, I totally didn't even think about when we were reviewing, but it is a 5 cost 3/3 elemental. It's just a common. It reads, rush, choose one, gain +2/+2, or summon a copy of this minion. When you finish the quest, because you almost always finish it by turn 4, and you have an Oasis Surger in your hand, you now have 2 5/5s for 5 that can clear a board. That's freaking awesome. Like, that's just so fun. And being able to do it as easily, because it's only 4 turns that you have to do with Druid. So in a mid-range control game, or a board-centric type of play, this card is super good. Did not see, I mean, so the quest kind of in tandem with that is really, really, really awesome. So I was very surprised by that card in the quest, and I have just been enjoying Druid probably more than I've ever enjoyed it. I think there have been past times when I've tried to play Druid a bunch at the beginning of a set and just played it, and then it just, everything else was just so much better. I know Eve can sympathize with me because she played a lot of Token Druid at first, and the previous meta was great, and then all of a sudden everything just outpaced it or could control it too well, and then, you know, the fun police took over in full force and became a fun regime. So there you have it. So anyways, I hope I answered the questions as best I could and didn't forget any. Just double check here. Let's see here. I kind of answered Ace. The Ace asked biggest surprises so far, but I kind of rolled that into Rob's question. To get the ball rolling, for me, it's Highlander decks with no payoff other than Zephrys. Yeah, you know, Zephrys is like hit or miss for me. Like, I've, you know, laughed my butt off because he does actually give you really good stuff. Problem is he seems like a dead card so often, especially unless you're playing a specifically Highlander deck, meaning no doubles at all. If it starts out with no doubles, it seems like he'd be more effective in like a Reno Jackson deck in Wild. I haven't been disappointed when I can actually play him, but for so long he seems a dead card. Same way with Elise, the Enlightened. Seems like an awesome card, but if you, a lot of times you're winning before you get through half your cards to only have one copy of everything in your deck. So, you know, I don't know. I think no payoff in the Highlander realm is kind of common. So, but you know what though? I don't know that you need to think about Highlander decks the way they are traditionally thought of. You don't build the deck with one-ofs, with singletons. You build the deck kind of thinking, well, this is a late game card, and hopefully I've drawn enough of my deck to make this work. In fact, some people have been using the new Druid spell, the 7-cost Druid spell, to kind of help that. The Overflow card, restore 5 health to all characters and draw 5 cards, just he keeps you alive and gets through your deck a little faster in standard. Just to utilize that more, draw through just enough to get it. I guess you could say I'm surprised that some cards that were not good cards are showing up in the Druid deck that are good, like Cenarius. Cenarius hasn't seen a whole lot of play in recent months or years, so and now it is. Cenarius is back, and Cenarius is really good when you get to use you get the +2/+2 and some of the treants. So you get Cenarius +4/4, so he's like Dr. 9, Dr. Druid 9. Ancient of Wars come back again. Kind of nice to summon a 10/10 with taunt for 7. That's pretty cool. I was surprised by that. I wasn't thinking Ancient of War. The one that surprised me the most was Tending Tauren, 3/4. A 6-cost 3/4, which is not very good. Choose one, summon, give your other minions +1/+1, or summon 2 treants. Well, it's kind of neat to play, a 6-cost 3/4. That's a 3/4, and then you summon 2 3/3 treants. Seems good. And then just all the other things. Oh, incidentally, so in my travels playing Druid, and I hope the show doesn't sound like a love letter to Druid. I just haven't played it in a while. Steladris. Interesting. I think there's a bug. I think I discovered it today, and you guys can confirm or not. Steladris, as you know, is a 3-cost Druid minion that he summons, adds a copy of both your choose one cards to your hand. So I played Steladris after completing the quest in Wild, and then I played other cards, and I got 2 cards in my hand of everything I played until I got to the Oasis Surger. In theory, shouldn't have I got 2 different Oasis Surger minions in my hand? One that was a 3/3 that just summons a copy of itself, and one that's a 5/5? I don't know, but it didn't give me any cards. It gave me nothing. Versus when I played Hidden Oasis, which is a Druid card, summon a 6/6 Ancient with Taunt and restore 12 health. I got a card that just restored 12 health, and I got a card that just gave me a 6/6 minion with Taunt. So I don't know if it's a bug. Why don't you guys and gals out there, why don't you guys try that and see if it's the same for you, because it happened to me today, and I wondered if it's a legit bug or not. Anyways, I know this is a little bit short show, but I guess that's what you get when you get a solo show. Let's see, yeah, 36 minutes is what we're looking at. If you want to find anything Velen's Chosen, you can head on over to velenschosen.com. All our links to our Discord, Patreon, Twitter, you name it is there. If you'd like to follow me, you can follow me at Twitter or at WatchmanHS on Twitter.com. If you want to follow Eve, you can follow at LoriMasterEve on Twitter. And if you want to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/Velen's Chosen podcast. Really can't do the show without support. It gets hard sometimes. But we do appreciate any dollar, penny, multiple dollars that any of you send out. And thank you to all of you who have supported the show for days, weeks, months, or years. Special shout out to Jamie S. Thank you so much for your continued support of our show. We really appreciate you. Definitely want to have you on the show pretty soon to talk about your take on the new meta. Say hi to Eve for me, everybody. Just, send her some love on the internet. She's out on sort of a vacation this week, I guess. Not sure to where, but maybe it's in her backyard. Who knows? Maybe she's camping with the kids and grilling hot dogs in the backyard. But anyway, shout out to her. Shout out to all our friends out there. And hope you guys have a great and wonderful time on the ladder, achieving all your Hearthstone goals while you hopefully have fun. And don't take the fun police too seriously. Don't get too salty. Just make cool decks and try to share the cool decks that you have with other people. I will be tweeting and retweeting anything I find cool on my Twitter, so feel free to find anything there. I'm going to post some of the deck lists that we talked about in the show in the show, not the show notes, the tag in the text in the podcast, and on our website. You can find them there. Any questions you have, just let me know. Meanwhile, remember, not all who wander are lost. Take care, everyone.
I foresaw this.
Did I miss it?